On what's up, Instagram? And hey, the rest of you are over here. So yeah, so the the last 48 hours have been kind of interesting on a number of levels. But yeah, so obviously everyone here is probably aware of the short-term TikTok shutdown, which created a complete and total meltdown with a lot of people. Which I mean, I get it. I'm not knocking it at all. There's a lot of people that had, in fact, I have a friend of mine that had like, I don't know, 25 million followers on TikTok. It's a lot of followers. And huge income as a result of that many followers because he monetized it. But I mean, yesterday until I think it was yesterday until TikTok got turned back on it was a short-term shutdown. I mean, people were tripping out, and it immediately made me think. I did a post right after they banned it in the US temporarily, that again, and I've talked about this before, the idea of building on a single channel. I mean, you really, like, I don't care what business that you're in, you really need to have a multi-channel method, or whatever we want to title it. And, multi-channel methodologies, multi-channel strategies. There's been two, in at least that I can recall, and however many years Facebook is around. Maybe somebody can tell me because I can't remember. It's probably been 18 years or something like that. There's been two major outages that have occurred on Facebook. I've talked about these in the past, where if your business is solely focused on Facebook, and Facebook, I mean, okay, granted, they were like short-term shutdowns. They were shut down for like a day, but those people were in panic mode. I mean, the people, like, I was on X, and there were people, and Instagram, and people were totally tripping out. I mean, in tears and freaking out. Like, how am I going to pay my bills? Like, there's a lot of people on TikTok, for example, that's their job. That's their business. That's what they do. And so the reason I want to do this live this morning is just a reminder that, if you're in business, you can't be solely reliant on a single channel like Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn, whatever it is. You also can't, and I'm speaking specifically to network marketers on this one, or actually business. I mean, honestly, business people, but the terminology would be different. Like, you can't rely on, like, I have, in fact, I have friends that are in this situation. Like, their biggest customer, in fact, my buddy who lives right across the fairway from me, his biggest customer accounts for, like, I think 80% of his business. And so if he were to lose that one customer, that one client, he'd be in a world of hurt. And he knows it. So I know he's in the midst of, like, working on expanding into other clients. But, I mean, if he were to lose that client, that would be a world of hurt. So then there's other situations where, I don't know. I think also, the whole idea of having foundational skill sets, core foundational abilities, like the ability to, okay, let's talking specifically in sales or in network marketing. And actually, I mean, most salespeople don't use social media. Let's be honest. Like, most, I mean, maybe realtors do, but like a traditional sales rep that works for a company that's selling B2B, they really don't use social media like direct sellers do, like realtors do, and, a handful of other business categories. So those folks have to rely on, marketing skills that exist outside of social media. So they've worked on and developed really good, solid marketing skills, whether it's advertising, direct response, direct mail, because they just don't, they don't really exist on social media. And then they also have solid communication skills. solid selling skills, solid relationship capital building skills, which I talk about consistently. If you're in network marketing, which, I granted a majority of people that are probably going to catch this are involved in network marketing, your base, your core foundational skills that you need to be centered around relationship building, online and offline. But like, I don't know if I trust Zuck, with his comments recently, like we're going to, stop doing what we did for the last 5 years. Honestly, I don't trust him, but we'll see what happens. But then again, I don't do, I might be a little edgy on social media, but I have never really personally, I don't know, gone over the edge, on purpose, actually, because I know that if I spoke what I wanted to speak, uh, I would, run the risk of getting blocked or banned. So, uh, a lot of times, I don't know about you guys. I mean, I'm curious to know how many of you are getting ready to post something. Oh, I was going to grab my phone and my phone's up here. You're getting ready to post something and then you're like, delete, 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 delete. Like, I guess I'm not going to post that. I would say probably 80% of the things that I'm going to say on Facebook, specifically Facebook, I don't say. It's not like it's crass or bad or anything. It's just like, oh, okay, is this going to get me in Facebook jail, or am I going to get booted? Because again, I rely on, here I am on multiple platforms simultaneously. I got my iPhone over here on Instagram. I've got a DSLR camera over here on 4 other platforms. So, the main message is, look, if you just you can't rely on a single platform, a single channel. You can't rely too heavily, and again, specifically talking network marketing. Look at your team. Like, if you have one huge leader that's responsible for most of your income, and the reality is, for a lot of big networkers, that is the case. I'm going to take a quick sip of coffee. Hang on a second. I was on stage. Jordan Adler had us, about 10 of us on stage. This is like years and years ago. I mean, man, this had to be like at least 15 years ago, if not longer. It was, I don't even remember. It was so long ago. I think it was at like Art Jonak's mastermind or something. I think that's what it was. And it was interesting. Like, he had 10 6- and 7-figure earners up on the platform, and he asked 3 questions. The 3 questions were, I think the first question was, how long have you been in your network marketing company? And the range was between like 4, I think was the minimum, and like 30 plus years was the maximum. In the time that you've been in your company, how many people have you personally recruited? And the numbers were, I think on the lowest end, like around 50, and on the highest end, one guy was like 400 and something, but the average was like about 120. And then the third question, which was really, really interesting, was 90% of your income comes from how many people? And it's actually scary now that I think about it again. Like, the answer was 1. And I've talked about this on stages and on, coaching calls and things where, I'm like, I'll have the audience like guess, and they're like 3 or 5 or 8 or 10. And but like, you had 10 major income earners, and every single one of them, if we came across the board, it was like 1 1 1 1 1 2 1 1 1. I mean, it was like that. So it was like the average was 1, and that's frightening, because what happens when, or if, more likely when, or if, I don't know, hopefully not when, but if that person leaves, and that does happen. You could have somebody that's making 50,000 a month in a company leave. And you think, no, that doesn't happen. It happens all the time. People walk away from 50 grand a month to go build someplace else because they're dissatisfied with something. So again, my main message is, like, with this whole TikTok thing and watching like extreme meltdowns on social media. I mean, honestly, I watched yesterday, and there were people like, granted, it got turned on. I think it was turned back on yesterday morning, but it was like, honestly, I think some people were suicidal, which is awful. I mean, think about it. Like your whole your whole business is wrapped around this thing. Like even my kid is, I know he watches stuff on TikTok. He went over and spent the night at a friend's house, and what did he say his friend said? It was like they were like, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do with my life? Now that I can't TikTok. I mean, think about it. Like, I'm sure there are people that spend hours and hours and hours every day, just whether it's consumption of content on TikTok, and now what are they going to do with their lives because they're spending 8 hours a day which I don't think is healthy, obviously. Or the business person that's like smart enough to monetize you know the activity, because there's only two things we're doing on social media. You're either consuming or you're producing. So I mean, I do a bit of both. So I mean, I'm guilty of scrolling and looking through Instagram or Facebook or X or whatever. But again, I don't know. It's just, this is like one of those. This is like I think it's like it should be a wake up call for a lot of people, that the importance of having a multi-channel strategy, that you can't be too reliant on one platform, one customer, one distributor. And then, in a business like most of you guys are involved in, I don't want to say reputation management. I don't think that's the right term, but, what are you doing with your circle, with your sphere, with your network? I'm not talking about your distribution network. I'm not talking about the people on your teams. I'm talking about, like, what I teach about very frequently, which is this concept of, building relationship capital. It's your most valuable asset in network marketing. And I know when we talk about capital improvements, like if we're talking in business context, generally speaking, we're talking about money. But, very few people in network marketing use their money to grow their business. I mean, that's a reality. Most businesses have budgets set aside for what? For primarily, I mean, for a lot of things, obviously, but advertising and marketing, if we're talking about growth strategies. And yeah, there's a percentage, a small infinitesimal percentage. I would say it's probably less than 1%. I mean, it's most certainly less than 1% of all networkers set aside any part of they probably don't even consider themselves having a budget. I mean, if we're being honest, they're like, a budget, what's a budget? But real companies, businesses have money set aside, excuse me, a budget for, what's their annual marketing budget. And that marketing budget is set aside for growth strategies. And yeah, I mean, if you scroll on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, any of these platforms, you're going to see ads, but you're not really seeing, honestly, you're not seeing, even as I'm thinking about it, as I'm saying it out loud, like, you're not really seeing, you're not seeing business opportunities in network marketing being advertised. I see tons of stuff advertised. Like, I'm on, a lot of these platforms, I mean, daily. And I see the ads that are put in front of me, and they're most certainly not join my network marketing business, or here's a way to make money. There's a ton of making money opportunities that are presented through ads on social media, but they're not, 99% of them are not network marketing. So the truth is, most network marketers aren't spending any dollars on ads. I mean, I'm not saying it's about it. If you can get past the loopholes on Facebook, and they're not really believing that network marketing is a legitimate business vehicle, is you have to be kind of stealthy if you're going to advertise network marketing on that particular platform. But setting aside money to market and advertise. I know people they're all doing like the free stuff. That's why you're constantly pushing out content. The whole attraction marketing process. Like, okay, what even what I'm doing right now, which is pushing out free content. This is marketing of my brand, getting out and constantly pushing value out to my audience. This is an unpaid for live that I'm doing. And this is a way I grow my business and generate new speaking clients. So, it's I don't know. It's just like, it was, I was in Florida. It was late on whatever night it was. I don't even know. I flew home on Saturday. So I was speaking in Florida on Friday. And I saw the TikTok ban coming up. And I'm like, okay, this is going to freak people out. Then I did a post about it on Facebook after the ban went into effect. And then I started scrolling on social media to see, how these people are feeling. And then instantly, like within minutes, I started seeing posts primarily on Instagram and X of people panicking. And the people that were panicking, again, for the most part that I saw, were not the consumers of, I don't know. In fact, I don't even think I saw a consumer that was pissed or freaking out. It was all people that were using TikTok and monetizing it, which is smart. I mean, there's so much time spent on social media, especially if you're going to be spending hours and hours on social media, why not monetize it? Figure out a way to take that consumption activity and turn it into a productive activity. I mean, and if you're I don't know, if you're a parent watching, I didn't even think I was going to talk about this, but if you're a parent, I got to assume some of the folks that are plugged into this are parents. I don't even, hang on a second. Let me grab this real quick. I don't even remember. Hold on a second. I just got back. If you're a parent and you have kids that are on social media, this is my traveling business pack. Hang on. I literally just got back and I haven't had a chance to take this stuff out yet. If you have kids, teens, like I do, that are consuming material on social media, whether it's TikTok, Instagram, I know my kids are not really on Facebook, then it would be a good idea to maybe have a sit down with them, see if you can get them to take take all that consumption time where they're just frying their brains and turn it into some kind of monetization strategy. So I during the holiday, I did a lot of writing during the holiday, and I wrote and I turned it into a PDF, and it's called the Junior CEO Playbook. And you're welcome to have it if you want, especially if you're a parent. I mean, you don't need this if you're not a parent. This is really designed. I mean, there's cool business ideas in there for non-teens and kids. I mean, there's one business idea in there in particular that I looked at. I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, that's easily a 6-figure business. And you wouldn't even have to work that hard to generate 6 figures with it. So it's called the Junior CEO Playbook. You can have it for free. I don't know. These platforms are weird. I don't know if I guess you can DM me if you want. I mean, I'm on 4 platforms right now, so I'll have to bounce around, but you can DM me Playbook if you want, and I'll send it to you. Or if you can remember the domain I'm going to give you verbally, you can do that too. It's toddfalcone.com/junior CEO. So it's toddfalcone.com/junior JUNIOR CEO. So if you want a copy of that, I'm happy to send it out to you. It'd be cool. You can sit down with your kids that are already on there consuming. And, there's definitely social media or online business ideas in there. There's also, good foundational skill building, foundational skill building types of businesses where, I think it's good for kids to go into the workplace, to know what it's like to work at a restaurant, or to know what it's like to work for someone. I mean, I for me personally, I hope both of my kids right now are working for someone. My older kid is probably waking up about right now. What time is it? 7 a.m. Oh, I just heard his voice. So he's working full time as a finish carpenter, which is cool. So he's learning a trade, and he's having to get up early. And then the other one's working in a restaurant, never worked in a restaurant before. But so, I mean, I think those are good social skills, foundational skills. But again, I don't know. I'm gonna wrap this up because I got a little tap on my door. So if you, lastly, going back to the whole point of this, if you're too reliant on one channel, you got to know whether you're too reliant on one channel. You should have, if you're a networker, you should be able to, do Facebook lives and do Instagram lives and be able to make connections on, doing reach outs, DMs, private messages. You should be able to function in a social setting where you can go to a BNI or a meetup or some kind of business function and be able to connect with people in that way. You should be able to not be afraid to pick up the phone and make a phone call. You should have all these skills. So that way, if one channel shuts off, you're cool. Or going back to the example of being too reliant on one customer or one major distributor, like, okay, if that rep leaves, it would suck, but it wouldn't be the end of the world. So something to think about. All right. So I'm going to turn you guys off second because I got to turn this off over here. And today's going to be a rather interesting day, inauguration day. So hope no shenanigans go on today and it's just a peaceful day. All right. Okay. So I'll see you. I'm going to turn you guys off over here, actually over here, and then over here. All right.